Welcome to Cooking with Bobby Joe. Today I'm going to show you how to make a sugar-free blueberry pie. I'm making this pie for my dad. My stove hood arrived a few days ago and my dad and my brother are coming up to install it for me, so I told him I would make him a sugar-free pie. Now there are many different types of sugar substitutes to choose from. My personal opinion is sugar substitutes do not taste like sugar. Therefore, a sugar-free blueberry pie will not taste the same as one made with real sugar. I think when people start cooking sugar-free, they expect things to taste like it does when you make it with sugar, when reality is it will still taste good, but it will be different because it's a different type of sweet taste. Some sugar substitutes leave an aftertaste, which I don't care for, and I've tried making a lot of sugar-free recipes with no success. I find the best recipes to make sugar-free are the ones that have fruit and berries because those are already sweet. Now I'm not adding any sugar to the recipe, but blueberries do have natural sugar in them, and the crust is Pillsbury, which has no sugar, but it still has carbs. So keep that in mind if you're on a carb-restricted diet or if you're a diabetic. So for this recipe, like I said, I'm using a Pillsbury pie crust. It comes two to a box, just comes in a roll and you roll the crust out. But you can use whatever type you prefer. I just prefer Pillsbury because it's easy and it does taste like a homemade crust. You're going to need about 5 to 6 cups of blueberries depending on the size of the pie. If you're doing a deep dish, you may need more. Just make sure you rinse your blueberries first. A half a cup of stevia, a fourth a cup of cornstarch, 2 tablespoons of lemon juice, 1 egg, 2 tablespoons of milk, and 1 tablespoon of unsweetened butter. So this recipe is as easy as pie to make. So first you want to start with preheating the oven to 400 degrees. Then get your mixing bowl, you add in your blueberries, your stevia, your cornstarch, you mix all of that together. Add in 2 tablespoons of lemon juice and mix all that in. Then next we're going to get our pie crust ready, and I'm going to roll this out in the pie plate, and I'm using a disposable pie pan because I'm sending this home with my dad. I usually use my glass pie plates. So this corner is a little messed up, but it can be fixed. This crust was in the freezer and I thawed it out. It almost always does this when I freeze it. When they're on sale, like if they're buy one get one free, or if they're on sale, I usually stock up on them and just throw them in the freezer. That way I have a pie crust if I ever need to make a pie. Like when my dad's like, hey, you want to make me a sugar-free pie? I'll be like, yeah, I got pie crust in the freezer. I'll throw you together a pie. So I'll leave the excess crust hanging over. And then once you have the pie crust in the plate, you just add in your blueberry mixture. You set that aside. And then at this point, I'm going to make the lattice. Now, if you don't want lattice, you can just place a second crust on top, cut a few holes in it, and pinch it all together. But I haven't made a lattice pie in a while, so I'm just going to do that. It doesn't have to be perfect. If you go making stuff look too perfect, people are going to start thinking it was store-bought. They're going to be like, yeah, right, you really made that. I'm placing the other crust on the floured surface, and I'm going to spread it out a little with my hands. And I've got a pizza cutter, and I'm going to cut it into strips. Some people use a pastry cutter, but I don't own one of those, and a pizza cutter works just fine. So you can also measure the strips if you want them all the same width. But like I said, do you really want people thinking your homemade pie came from the store? I'm doing 10 strips. To start with, I'm going to put 5 across this way. The longest goes in the middle, and then you just start going down. Shortest to be on the end of the pie. And then I'm going to pull number 2 and number 4 strip back. Place the longest strip in the middle. Then I put number 2 and number 4 back over. Okay, and for the next strip, I'm going to come over to this side and I'm going to pull number 1, number 3, and number 5 over. Put the new strip down and pull those back over the new strip. I'm going to go over to the opposite side. I'm going to pull number 1, number 3, and number 4 back on this side. Put the new strip down. Place everything back over. Go to the other side and pull number 2 and number 4 back. Place the new strip down. Pull those back over. And on the opposite side, pull back number 2 and 4 again. Put the new strip down. And then pull those back over. And look at that. My last strip is coming apart, but it's okay. I'm going to pinch it together. It will bake together when it's in the oven. Then I pull those strips back over. Now I'm going to go around the pie and I'm going to fold these lattice strips down into the bottom crust. Basically all I'm doing is just pinching the bottom crust in with the ends of the lattice. I'm right-handed, so this is the way I'm going to do my crust. So I'm going to get my index finger and my middle finger on my left hand. I'm going to have my index finger on my right hand, and with my right hand, I'm going to push the crust into the indentation in between my index finger and middle finger on my left hand. I hope that's not too confusing. See how it pulls the crust into a zigzag design? Now see, that is a perfect, imperfect homemade pie. Okay, so next I mix the egg and 2 tablespoons of milk together. I brush that over the crust. Then I take the butter, I break it into little cubes, or you can cut it into little cubes, but it's starting to melt, so I'm just breaking it into little cubes. And I place those in the openings of the lattice. Now, if this was a sugar pie, at this point I would sprinkle some sugar on the crust, but I'm not going to do that since we are going sugar-free. Now at this point I'm going to add my pie crust shield to the pie, and if you don't have a shield you can do it with aluminum foil. You just put aluminum foil around the edges of the crust. The edges of the crust bake quicker than the rest, so it protects the edges of the crust from burning. Now most people will put this on for about 30 minutes and take it off for the last 15 minutes of cook time. I, on the other hand, will leave it on the entire time because I know how my oven bakes. So what you want to do is you want to stick your pie in the oven and bake it for 30 minutes on 400 degrees. Then you want to turn your oven down to 350 degrees for the last 15 minutes. And if you have a normal oven at this time, you take the crust shield or the aluminum foil off, bake that last 15 minutes or until the filling starts bubbling. It may take a little longer than 15 minutes, but usually it's just about 15 minutes and your filling's already bubbling. Then you take it out of the oven. And look at that, part of my crust fell off. Oh well, it'll be okay. It'll still taste good. At least I hope it tastes good. I'm not used to posting videos for something me and Steve haven't tasted yet. I'll have to get my family to leave a comment on the video to let us know if it was actually drool worthy. It smells good, and that is usually a clue on how good it tastes. Well, there you have it, sugar-free blueberry pie, a great recipe for all those watching their sugar intake and for diabetics. Thanks for watching. Check back on Wednesday. We will have a skillet meatloaf. And if you are into nature, I will post a new video on Friday of the Lake Hill City birds. The squirrels attacked and ate up my Coca-Cola bottle bird feeders, so I had to make some more. I think the birds like the new design. So if you try the pie, let me know what you think. Have a blessed week. Bye for now.